All right, what is up, guys? This is a happiness rant. This is a new type of content I'm making where I'm going to rant about the things that matter to me so that you can actually get the point, okay? I'm Woody Rini. It's almost 2021. We're almost there. Things are falling in my background because I'm shaking them because I'm so excited to talk to you. And what I came to talk about today is why being nerdy is such an awesome word. It's just synonymous with creative. It's a good thing. And I want to let you know how my Christmas presents this year as a 27-and-a-half-year-old male inspired me to embrace being nerdy. And I want you to hear this. I don't care if you're a teenager who really needs to hear this because you're in high school and you're getting bullied, or maybe you are the bully and you need to hear this, or maybe you're 65 and you still sit there and worry about your own quirks and worry about your own unique things. Maybe you're 90. I don't care how old you are. I just want to tell you why it's so important to let your inner nerd out, okay? So, me personally, I've always been right on the fence, or not even on the fence, but just both, a nerd and a jock. I've been really into nerdy things, like these books, the Brandon Sanderson books. Now, he's a cool guy, he's a nerd. He's written these massive 1,000-page fiction books. Even my shirt that inspired me to make this is a Kaladin Stormblessed shirt, which is a character from this book series. She's another one, that's Shalin. This is Kaladin, that's his little sprite there, Selfrina. And I got this awesome wristband that says Strength Before Weakness, which is also a theme from this book. And if you had caught me at age 15 or 16 reading one of these things, I would have had my head down in class reading a fantasy book like this. And, other kids might have called me a nerd, right? Other kids might have called me a geek for doing something like this. And yet I loved it. I always loved being a nerd. And you want to know one of the reasons I think nerds are such amazing people is because they don't like to hurt others. This is the number one reason why being a nerd is awesome and creative and amazing, and why I always, when I had the choice between identifying as a cool kid, I was prom king at my tiny little school where it's pretty easy to do that, but I was a prom king. I was kind of popular at least. But I always identified with the nerds, and in fact that nerd vote carried me to being prom king of Model Lab High because the other three people were cool kids, and so it was kind of a 1 versus 3 scenario where I got all of the nerd vote, and they split the cool kid vote among 3 different people. Anyway, me being prom king is a separate story, but the reason I bring that up is because I always chose to identify as a nerdy person because nerds don't hurt other people. I see this over and over and over again, right? You have nerds and you have bullies. And the first thing I look at when I think of nerds versus bullies is that bullies hurt people and end up sad and lonely, and nerds are these people who are just kind and they just want to help people and be friendly and be helpful and do their own thing. And so I see the world and I look at it, and as I build my happiest on earth brand that I'm building and talk about how to be happy and do these mental experiments on myself, teaching myself how to be happy, the main thing I'm realizing is that everybody needs more affirmation, kindness, and help. Nobody has enough of that. Nobody has ever been able to get enough of that in the history of humankind because people just want to feel loved and helped and held. And nerds are people who constantly just ask the world, just let me do my own thing and give me some support. Nerds aren't trying to put more on people. Nerds aren't trying to, make other people do what they want. Nerds aren't trying to control people. They're just trying to do their own thing, I remember senior year of high school, I was super into Magic the Gathering. If you're a nerd, you might know what these cards are. One is a Mox Opal and one is a Card Liberated. These are really valuable. Well, now that the pandemic's happened, I don't know how valuable paper Magic cards are. But these are valuable cards. In fact, I traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina 2 hours to play in a Magic convention where I played with these Mox Opal cards. And I got crushed, by the way. I wasn't very good. And I even got this signed. You can see it's signed in marker. So this valuable trading card is signed by the artist, whose name is Volkan Baga, and who I can only assume is German or something. And he came from wherever he's from in Europe to the US to sign cards for people. So that's how nerdy I am. Is I actually traveled to a convention full of nerds to get my card signed by super nerdy people, to play my nerdy cards against other people. And I wear shirts like this, and I read fantasy books. And I've even got this piece of artwork Preetha made, and it's a bookshelf, and it's got goblins and magic and good and evil and all this. And it's the most exciting piece of art. And the whole point of this rant is, number one, nerds don't hurt people. They just want to be kind and helpful. And if you right now are a teenager or a young adult and you're looking at life and you're like, man, I just want to be cooler. I want more people to pay attention to me. I want to be more respected. Listen, The nerdier you are, I promise, it's correlated with better outcomes the later you get in life. I can tell you that when I was in middle school and high school, those kids who were like the big brawny bullies and who weren't playing Magic the Gathering, they were instead, I don't know what, doing drugs, like, I don't know, playing sports, but mostly doing drugs or like other stuff that was getting them in trouble. They might have been cool in high school. And they might have been kind of cool in college. They might have been in a fraternity. Well, I was too. But they might have been like the coolest person on campus. But guess what? I am seeing 10 years later after high school, I'm 27. When I was 17, there were definitely nerds and there were definitely jocks, and like being a jock is fine, right? I'm also a jock. But there were bullies and people who were like kind of druggies or like, doing bad stuff. And they were cool in high school. But guess what? Now they're not cool, right? Now they're struggling. Now they're not in a good place. Whereas all the people I know who were super nerdy, they're lawyers, they're computer programmers, they're, entrepreneurs, they're real estate tycoons, they're all these amazing things. They're, they have PhDs, they're solving COVID. Like, nerds are doing incredible things across the world, okay? And yet mainstream society still kind of stigmatizes nerdhood. If I walked around in public with this shirt and this band that said strength before weakness, people would look at me and be like, who's that guy? Why does he have this weird thing with this little air spirit on his shirt? Why? Like, if you're a human being, why are you going around just wearing plain stuff with Nike and Adidas? Put some color on, put some emblems on, put some excitement on yourself so that you can be enthusiastic and creative. Here's the second thing about nerds, right? Is that they add value to society. And so if you are nerdy, that's actually when you're adding value to society. You might think that you need to go and just like follow society and you'll get to express yourself and finally someone will understand you. But the truth is, you have to bring it out and show it to the world. Otherwise, no one is ever going to understand, okay? No one. I identified as a nerd. I went to high school and college and self-identified as a nerdy person who played Magic and read books and did all this stuff. And yet I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go be a computer programmer. And once I'm a computer programmer, we'll all fully accept our nerdhood and we'll all just live in this fairy tale world where we do coding all day and then everything's perfect. Well, I got to the real world and I found out that even in computer programming world, people were way too reserved and way too scared to express their inner creativity. Now, sure, did I hang out with some people who were playing Pokemon Go on their lunch break and we would all play with our Pokemon even though we were all 23, 24 years old? Yes, I did that. But I still saw plenty of adults, this message is for adults too. I saw plenty of adults who were scared to smile, scared to express themselves, scared to bring their energy and bring their enthusiasm and their boisterousness and their livelihood to the world. And was constantly thinking, why? Why would people be afraid? But it's because society has stigmatized nerdiness. So now let me take a little bit of an alternate tack on this rant, okay? So far I've told you a couple reasons why being nerdy is good, but let me go the opposite way, okay? How did anyone ever get the conception that being nerdy was bad? I can't find a single connotation where this is bad. Like, you think nerds retreat from the world? No, nerds are steady people who will be great computer programmers, great Excel sheet programmers, great financial analysts, great writers, great everything. People who retreat from the world are the people who are watching mainstream TV and who are stuck on their iPhone and TikTok and Facebook all day, just scrolling mindlessly for stupid crap. It's okay to be on social media. I'm here right now. It's obviously fun to express yourself on social media, but don't pretend like nerds are the people who are escapists in real life, okay? What I learned from playing these cards is I learned how to use my brain. I learned strategy. I learned creativity. I learned entrepreneurship. You think if I read a book that's this big, I might pick up a few vocabulary words that are helpful in real life, that make me intelligent, that make me smart, that make me well-spoken? Yes! So there is tons of value to doing nerdy stuff. Meanwhile, mainstream people who are out there smoking or drinking or sedating themselves with whatever drug of choice, who are like, yeah, those nerds, those escapists, like, doing drugs is escapist, man. That's what's escapist. Being a nerd is not escapist. Being a nerd, of course, anything can be addictive and can be unhelpful. Sure, there are times when I'm too into my magic cards and I'm missing out on everyday life, but everyone has a sedating drug of choice. So being nerdy does not have any negative effects. The other thing that I really am starting to think is true, and I'm just going to end my rant on this, is that being nerdy, whatever you think that makes you happy on the inside, no matter how bad the world is, you're afraid to admit that you're inner nerd of that thing, and that is why you're constantly unhappy, and that is the cause of anxiety. Let me tell you a little personal story. I have always felt really happy. You see me expressing myself like this right now? This is how I always feel. This is how I am. This is what I do. I am happy. I just am bouncy, and I love magic, and I love Pokemon, and I love books, and I love self-help, and I love sports. I love to geek out about everything, okay? And speaking of sports, one more quick tangent is you can't call people who play Magic nerds if you're like a 45-year-old dude who sits and drinks beer and watches 19-year-olds play basketball and football, and you get excited and enthusiastic about that, okay? It's just as fantastical to think that your self-worth or happiness should be tied to a 19-year-old playing basketball, for UNC or Kentucky or Duke or whomever, as it is to play with Pokemon cards. It's the same thing, right? If you're an adult man who plays fantasy football, congratulations. You are also living in a fantasy world, and I do it too, right? So I'm not saying that's bad. That's also good. Sports are good. It's all good. It's just that I don't know why society thinks that people who watch kids play football or people who play fantasy football are mainstream and cool, whereas people who know what a Mox Opal and a Karn Liberated are, know what a Planeswalker is versus a legendary artifact, and people who know, what a Voidbringer is and what the Rhythm of War means and what Strength Before Weakness means and what Kaladin is, like, people who know this aren't any more nerdy than someone who watches football and geeks out about kids running a, out route in a football game. It's all the same thing. We're all human. We all have passions, okay? They're all equal. They're all something to do with our brains to express our creativity. But anyway, there's my sports tangent. I did kind of want to sneak that in there. Now, last thing on this happiness rant is that, where was I going? I literally lost my train of thought because I got so jacked up about sports. This is what it is. Okay, my personal story. Yeah, we'll close on this. I spent the first 27 years of my life kind of pretending to be unhappy when I really was happy. Meaning, even at the beginning of this year, it was like, well, my coaching business isn't really earning money. I'm struggling at that, so I guess I should kind of pretend to be sweating and working hard. But I realized that secretly, I just wanted to go in the bathroom and dance to some High School Musical music or some, like drama nerds also hear you, feel you. I'm not necessarily a drama geek, but that's also an awesome thing. I do love High School Musical. I'll admit that. I listen to that soundtrack more than 99.999% of people. I think probably 1 in 100,000 people listens to that as much as I do. But anyway, I would just go and dance to High School Musical and be happy. And even when COVID's happening and the world's going to pieces and everything's crazy and the stock market's crashing and people are dying, I still felt happy on the inside when I was dancing and when I was expressing myself and doing my nerdy things and making my YouTube videos. And I used to think that I needed to mute that a little bit in case someone attacked me. Because you know what the scariest thing inside of all of us actually is? It's not that we're not enough or not good enough or whatever. It's that we actually feel really happy about something, whatever our creative thing is, even when everything else is crazy, right? Now, for example, at my corporate IT job, that wasn't my passion. And so when that was going poorly, I would feel bad. But no matter how bad anything is going, I still feel happy reading my books. I still feel happy playing Magic. I still feel happy working out. I still feel happy making YouTube videos, and I feel happy dancing and singing and expressing myself. Because for me, I'm just this bouncy, effervescent person. And so I have that kind of energy. I have that kind of passion, and I'm always happy. And so the biggest secret I was holding back for 27 years was that when bad things were happening in the outside world, there was a part of me that was still happy. And so my idea for you is that there's a part of you that's happy even when everything else is tough. And you might think you'd listen to that voice, but instead what you've done is you've taken the part of you that's always happy and you've thrown it away and jettisoned it away and gotten rid of it. Jettison. You know what? Jettison reminds me of a game, Legends of Runeterra, because there's a card that can jettison things. So video games and stuff are teaching me vocabulary. What do you know? Anyway, another tangent aside, if you just let the part of you that's actually happy out, you'll see amazing things happen. And so as I introduce my new brand I'm creating, Happiness 101, Happiest on Earth, whatever I'm going to end up calling it, the key thing is that find whatever you think of as nerdy, and whatever you think of as nerdy is something you unashamedly enjoy, or perhaps ashamedly currently enjoy. And take that thing you are ashamed of enjoying. You are ashamed of just how happy it makes you. Whether it's a Pokemon card or a book or fantasy football or, sports or, acting or drama or whatever it is, art or science or programming, whatever. There's something you enjoy that you're afraid to tell people because it makes you literally so happy that you're afraid they're going to shoot you down. Guess what? I'm here to build you up. I'm here to tell you that you should not get shot down. You should be excited. You should be happy. You should embrace your nerdiness. because society has just tricked you. The people telling you that things are nerdy and that nerdy has a negative connotation are literally the people at the very top who want to manipulate you into being afraid. Guess what? Most of my audience is white people like me who are middle upper class maybe. If you're a white middle class person, white middle class guy, woman, I don't know, but most of you who have privilege in modern society, most of you who are my audience who are Americans who have privilege, if you're a white guy in America like me, the whole point of society is that the people at the very top have tricked you into hiding inside this little bubble because you're such a perfectionist, because you think you need to be perfect, because you think you need to be cool, because you think you need to be this or that, when really your life is already privileged. And so instead of being ashamed of your privilege and happiness, unleash it, use it to do good in the world too, and let your nerdiness grow an amazing thing that helps the world, okay? You know what? I don't have it in my pocket, but I was going to pull out my iPhone and say that Steve Jobs, when he created the iPhone that you might be watching this on right now, and revolutionized iPods, smartphones, all that, he talks about in a talk he gives, where he says that he dropped out of college, which I'm not telling you to do that. You can do whatever you want, but, think about it before you drop out of college. But he took a calligraphy class. Can you imagine Steve Jobs walking in and being like, you know what? I'm a computer dude, but I'm going to take a calligraphy class. And he took that and learned how to create these beautiful typefaces that then went into the Mac, that then went into the PC. And now any beautiful typeface you see on a computer is because Steve Jobs nerded out about calligraphy when he had no clue what it was going to do for him. If someone had come up to Steve at 21 and said, Steve, why are you taking this calligraphy class? How's that going to be useful in real life? What are you going to do with that? Why are you going to drop out of college and take a calligraphy class? He couldn't have had a defense. You don't have a defense about the thing you're nerdy about. You don't have to defend your passions. You don't have to defend the things you wear that are nerdy or the things you do that are nerdy. You don't have to defend it, because anything you do that builds you up and makes you happy is going to cause amazing results everywhere. And the reason society has so many problems still, despite our modern technology, is because everyone is muting their own happiness. So stop muting your happiness. This was happiness rant number 1. This is going to be a staple going forward. I'm going to yell into this microphone until you understand that you're allowed to be happy. I'm going to let myself be happy. I'm doing new mental exercises that are making me happy. I'm triggering my own mental neurons so that I get happier and happier every day. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I'm also working on my physical body. I'm getting fit. I'm getting in shape. I'm going to be a good role model to you, whoever you are out there. We can be amazing together. You can make an amazing world. But for happiness rant number 1, it's Woody signing off saying, don't forget, unleash your inner nerd. Don't be ashamed. Let it out. And if you let out what you're truly happy about, your life will expand in ways you can't imagine. It's literally happening for me right now, and I know it can happen for you too. Have a great day, guys. Namaste, whatever. Have an awesome one, and I'll talk to you next time on happiness rant number 2, which will come, I don't know when. Stay tuned. Share this with the people in your life. Share it with the kids that need to hear it. But don't forget that if you're an adult, you also still need to hear it. So don't go thinking, I'm going to share this with all my grandkids or all my kids. I'm going to share this. This is going to be great for the kids in the schools. It's great for you too. It's great for everybody, not just kids. So remember, these lessons are for you too if you're an adult. But give it to the kids too. Give it to everybody. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day.